Chase me, Susie! Chase me! Good.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome here. This is your host Muawiyah Tucker, and here we are on BTC divided by 0. Weird name. I don't know, it kind of stuck with me. I tried to change my name from Crypto Hash Review because I'm sick of crypto. Well, not really crypto. I'm not really into the crypto thing. Initially, the reason why the name was Crypto Hash Review was that I was going to do reviews of other cryptocurrencies and specify if it's halal or it's haram. But I generally kind of view other coins other than Bitcoin as a bit of a waste of time for you, for me, for everyone. Because at the end of the day, my goal is to aid and help people leave riba, leave the fiat system and the banking system, and go to an alternative. And the best alternative we have, besides gold and silver, would be Bitcoin. And all these other coins essentially are just another attempt to get more fiat. They don't, most of them, 99.99999% of them don't really have any intention or goal or similar goal as I have as to remove the banking system. They just want to do other things. So BTC, Bitcoin, divided by 0. What does a 0 mean? Well, it was kind of a funny thing because there's a guy called Max Kaiser, those you may know him, and he mentioned that the price of Bitcoin is going to infinity because the value of the dollar is going to 0. So the 0 is basically the placeholder that I've replaced the USD, as in the US dollar, with its actual intrinsic value at some point in the future. So basically, it's the price of Bitcoin. If you divide anything by 0, you get infinity. It's a bit of a funny one. I don't know. It's kind of sticking on me at the moment. So that's what that logo is at the side there. It's a BTC and it's a 0 around it and it's divided into half. So that explains what that is. Anyway, so I want to continue with this question. Why do ulama get fatawa wrong? Now, I'll be honest with you. I've been dreading this video and I actually didn't think I'll ever make it. But I feel that I feel there will be value in this discussion. So what am I talking about? So essentially, a few last week I think it was, I translated a video of Sheikh Al-Khadlan about his view on Bitcoin, and I put it out there for people to benefit from. Now, generally speaking, many people have asked me from way back, from 2020 even, to translate stuff from the ulama about Bitcoin. And I've always avoided that. And the reason being is that I wanted people to understand what Bitcoin is so they can navigate this thing themselves. Meaning that if a sheikh says Bitcoin is halal or haram, and the way that the sheikh describes Bitcoin isn't reflective of reality, then that will help the individual navigate whether or not this fatwa is something we should consider or factor in. Because if someone says to you, this bottle drink is haram because it intoxicates, and you know it doesn't intoxicate, then you know that although the sheikh is a good sheikh, he's got knowledge, his fatwa isn't valid because he hasn't, he's been misinformed, or his perception, I should say, of the fatwa, of the reality of this drink is incorrect. So I've mainly focused on teaching people about how money works, how banking works, how the economy works, how Bitcoin works, that underneath the hood, and how to different ways you can use it, and most importantly, how you can use it to escape riba. The system we all know is haram. We all agree that fiat is haram. The banking system, all that kind of stuff. So there's no real objection really to that reality. So I focused on that, and I avoided talking about the fatawa because I kind of felt it was almost like a it's like a give a man a fish rather than a net kind of situation. You can give a man a fish and he can eat for the day, but he's still hungry. He still can't feed himself. I preferred the method of giving you the net. However, in all my attempts, in all the years I've been doing this, there's still a large majority of people who, well, not majority, a large number of people who just want the fish and don't care about the net. They just want to know, what does Sheikh so-and-so say, what Sheikh so-and-so say, and done. So I guess I had to kind of bring this up. I mean, I did start, I think, last year by replying to Asim al Hakim's video on Bitcoin Haram, probably most shared one. I think because he's taken to be a sheikh and he speaks English. And also I did a commentary on Tariq al-Diwani, his view on Bitcoin, or I could say his tawaqquf, his abstention, or abstaining from having a view, the whys and whatnot. So those two videos, if you can get benefit from them, I think there's value in those. Still, obviously. So back to the point. So I translated the video of Khadlan, set it out, and obviously you have those who have taken a certain position, they've taken it personally, and they've replied with insults and fatwa spamming Sheikh Sulaiman al-Rahili's fatwa. So for those who don't know, Sheikh Sulaiman al-Rahili, this individual over here, he is a well-renowned, well-known scholar in Saudi Arabia, lives in Medina. I know him well, and when I say I know him well, not personally, he's not a personal friend, but when I was studying in Medina, I took a fancy to the Sheikh, loved the Sheikh, and the reason being is because his speciality is usul al-fiqh and qawa'id fiqhiyah. What does that mean? So fiqh, or Islamic jurisprudence, is based on a foundation, usul, basically foundations. And these tools, these foundations, are used to extract rulings from the text. So a person can be a faqih, a person could be a knowledgeable person on fiqh, on Islamic rulings, meaning that he knows the rules and regulations for a large number of things. You could say, yeah, so if you ask him, Sheikh, is it permissible to pray on a plane? He knows the answer. If you Sheikh, is it permissible to drink alcohol from in the desert? I'm going to die. He knows the answer. So he knows fiqh. But what makes this Sheikh special is that he has knowledge of usul al-fiqh, meaning the tools used to derive rulings. So I found him fascinating as an individual. The way he speaks is amazing. The way he breaks down one issue, you can spend hours on it, breaking down the why, the hows. And when you get into usul al-fiqh, it really is an amazing science. Essentially, with those tools, you should be able, bi'idhnillah, by the permission of Allah, to be able to understand and give your own fatwa or give your own rulings independently. Now, I'm not saying you're going to make up a madhab. That's not what I'm saying. But what it does mean is that it gives you additional tools. It's a bit like, think of it like this. We all know how to drive a car. You can have an idea of how an engine works, and we know the rules of the road. But an usuli, or a person who knows usul fiqh, is one who manufactured the car. He knows how physics behind how cars work, how engine work, how combustion works, and he can fix it if it goes wrong. You get what I'm saying? So an usuli, a person who knows usul fiqh, his knowledge of fiqh is deeper than just the one who knows fiqh. A person who knows fiqh knows the answers that have already been answered, or knows answers the questions that have already been asked. An usuli, he should have the capacity to answer new questions that haven't been asked yet. Why? Because he has the tools to look back at the Quran and the Sunnah and extract from that the answers. Or more importantly, if the scholars of the past or the present differ, an usuli will be able to look at their reasoning, their understanding, and decide which one of them is strongest or closest to the truth according to his knowledge. So Sheikh Sulaiman Rahili is an amazing character. And because of that, ironically, he used to have a lesson in Masjid Dhul Nurain, which is Masjid Uthman, just outside the Haram in Medina. And I used to always go there and make sure I sat right in front of him. When I say right in front of him, I mean as this camera is in front of me, the Sheikh was in front of me. It was just a thing. I became obsessed almost. I had to sit down right in front of the Sheikh, and I tried my best to record all the lessons I had. So I had little a mini disc. I don't know if you guys remember that back in the day, mini discs. So I recorded it on my mini disc, so I've still got them actually in the other room, the mini discs from the Sheikh. So yeah, fascinating Sheikh, lovely Sheikh, and the Sheikh now here. People are using his fatwa on Bitcoin as a hammer against everyone else who has a different opinion. Now, the issue of Bitcoin or whatever, the issue of Bitcoin, crypto, or whatnot, it's what's called a nazila, something that never existed before, and then scholars look at it and they give fatwa. Okay. And scholars would differ. Like scholars have differed in the past about many things, they differ today about many things. And it's disappointing. It's disappointing when people take affairs like this and almost make it a fitna for the people. To make it some kind of trial and tribulation whereby if you're in that camp, then you're this kind of person. If you're in that camp, you're in that kind of person. They get emotional about it, take it personally. And I think I know the reason why. This is a speculation. It's not really important even. But I do think from my years in this crypto space or Bitcoin space or whatever you want to call it, in this space, I do feel there's a reason why people take this topic of Bitcoin personally. Even if they're not Muslim, non-Muslim, whatever the case may be, but people take this topic really personally. And here's the reason why. People heard of this thing called Bitcoin that was previously pennies and now is at $27,000. And we all heard about it years ago. We heard about Bitcoin in 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 20. We heard it a long time ago. So most of us heard about it, dismissed it, moved on. Some of us heard about it, looked into it, thought, that's a good idea, jumped on board. We're moving on Bitcoin. Whilst others heard about it and resisted. Okay. As time moves on, and their assumptions that Bitcoin is going to fail doesn't come to pass, people become more invested because they now have to justify why they didn't see it, why they didn't see how they were wrong before. So number one, it's about being wrong. No one wants to be wrong, obviously. That's personal. It's emotional. They thought something, it didn't turn out that way. Okay. But now here's the other thing. If they were to admit that they were wrong, they also have to admit that it's a good idea to have some Bitcoin. And now they have to admit they have to buy Bitcoin at a higher price. I think there's something in that. I do think there is something in that. So there is more resistance to say, it's almost like refusal. I refuse to buy Bitcoin at £27,000 because I didn't buy it when it was at 3,000. I didn't buy it when I saw it at 300. So I refuse to buy it at this price. So it's almost like a justification. I don't want to get into the reasons behind it because I'm sure most people are sincere and it's nothing like that. But I do think to some people there is that. I think there is that. Anyway, so back to the point. So this video, and this is probably the most important disclaimer, this video is not in any way, shape, or form a refutation of the Sheikh. As I've stipulated and made clear, I love the Sheikh to this day. And nothing about my view about him hasn't diminished or changed in the slightest. Even if he doesn't agree with Bitcoin, it doesn't make a difference to me because it's just an issue of fiqh. And as I'll explain, there's a reason why he has his view. But this is not a slight against his knowledge or anything like that. So anyone who tries to say, oh, Muawiyah is refuting the Shaykh, ittaqillah, fear Allah in yourself, and don't say about me which is not true. This is not. In fact, I view this as a defense of the Shaykh. I am defending the Shaykh. How so? You'll see in a minute how. But this is a demonstration that there is nothing wrong with his knowledge or the knowledge of any of the mashayikh who have said Bitcoin is haram. There's nothing wrong with their knowledge of the Sharia. But there's something else at play. Anyway, so let's continue. Let's have a look at the fatwa. I'm going to just, pause, play, pause, whatnot. There is some subtitles here. I didn't make the subtitles, so if there's any mistranslations, it's not my fault. But it is what it is. Let's move on. Let's get into the juicy bits. Juicy.